After a while, Hyujin came to Yuqin and loudly asked, what kind of fight was he talking about? He turned to her, and with a displeased expression said loudly that this freak was the one who started making fun of him first, so she should deal with him first. She was surprised by what she heard, and asked, I was the one who started it. For this reason, she very quickly reached the White Pavilion, and wondered, however, what kind of ghostly energy was that? Now that she is near this place, she can feel it completely. There are Thessicians everywhere. Traces of death energy and poison residue are clearly visible. It looks like a madman's haven. She felt a person standing behind her, quickly drew her sword and turned around sharply. MC who approached her was a blotto. Stopped the blade of her sword with his hand. She was very surprised by this, and called him by his name. He called her sister with a calm expression, and said that it was a rather cruel greeting. She suddenly stepped back, apologized, and said that she was going to stop, but did not expect him to try to block. He thought that she attacked him when he used the poison dragon technique, which is why he reacted late. If she reported his poison level and fighting ability, then his plan would be over. If Seong sent her to scout him before the battle, he didn't have time to finish his thought, because Quinn said with a kind smile that she was very worried about him because of Mother. She was very glad that he was okay. He thought that Shell looked at him like his master, the only one who cared about him. He grabbed his head and said that it did not look like was sent by his stepmother. She asked worriedly, however, what kind of energy was this that was coming from him? He hadn't gotten involved in any dark deeds, right? When we began to concentrate the energy in his hand and asked, did she mean the poison arts he had been training in? She covered her mouth and asked, was this ghost energy and poison energy? Was that possible? He agreed and said that it was a cursed poison. He thought that he had actualagis combined the mystical energy with the poison to make it look like that it would be difficult to hide his death energy from people's eyes, so he had topiced it off as something else. She looked at him with a surprised expression and asked, why did he need a cursed poison art? He said with a calm expression that it was the only poison he could use without the help of his family. It seemed that she wouldn't believe it. Is it unnatural for a member of the Tan clan to neglect morals in order to achieve greater power? He took a fighting stance and said that if it was a problem for her, she could try to stop him on her own. Jin was surprised by this, and said that it seemed like he had changed a lot. He thought that Heckledon let her continue to protect him, like she did with the old owner of his body. Even if their relationships furred, he needed to set a clear line. She covered her face with her hand, and said that that was right. Everything had changed now. She removed her hand with a wide smile, and said that now it was clear why Yukin's mother was so worried about him. His words awakened an extremely strong thirst for battle. She began to emit a strong energy, and he wondered, is this energy and the desire to kill? She laughed and said with a satisfied expression that he really exceeded everyone's expectations. The protagonist looked at her with a serious expression, and thought that from what he understood, this energy was the soul stream, the seed of the barrier breakers. In the middle of them, there was most likely a heavenly ghost stream. For a while, he had doubts about why she, the first in line to inherit the Neen Dragon clan and the most promising of all the youth in the clan, would join Thekking sect. Soul streams, which Granthire, owner unrivaled talent, are considered one of the conditions for becoming a barrier breaker. However, as his name suggests, soul streams are rooted in the soul itself. So, they evolve along with the owner as befits the traditional Ching-Chang method, which prioritizes training the heart. Moreover, the heavenly phantom stream, Isa stream, that requires constant battle. Combined with the Tongklin's teachings of doing everything for the sake of victory, this made her an unstoppable killer. He said that before discussing his energy, she should have told him about hers. This is quite alarming about her. Hyujin sheathed her sword, stopped emitting her energy, and asked for his forgiveness. She bowed and said that she forgot why she came here in the moment. It was rude of her to point a sword at him and interrupt his training. MC looked at her and thought that it was so easy to remove the bloodlust caused by the heavenly ghost stream. Chim Chang's training was taking its toll, but she herself was quite strong. After that, they went to drink tea. She really liked the taste and said that she often drinks tea in Ching Chang Zhang. but she had never tasted such a delicious one. He said with a wide smile that this tea came from Heavenly Eye Mountain. She said with a satisfied expression that she didn't think he was so good at it. She started looking for something, and said that she brought him something. It's Tangulu, from Mission. He likes it, right? He thought that he didn't like it very much, but he should probably thank her instead of the previous owner of the body. He ate it, and said that it was really delicious. She was happy to hear his words, but he kept seeing the silhouette with the evil smile behind her, and thought that he couldn't get used to it. He really found it hard to believe that she was the same person who had such a strong killing intent before. He asked what brought her here. If she was here to interfere with his fight with Yuch tomorrow. Kyun looked down with a thoughtful expression, and said that it was partly true. However, she came to apologize, since she knew how he treated him. He asked if she thought that instead of their apology, he would accept her, and just forgive them, right? She agreed, and said that however she still wanted to apologize. She was truly sorry. Wooey took a deep breath, and said that he was still going to fight him. She said that she was worried that he was pushed into this, but now she sees that it's actually part of his plan. However, is he sure about this? She understands that he is quite strong now. But Yushin is no pushover either. She has also heard that he is planning something else. He thought that she seemed to know about their evil intentions, but she didn't know the details. He calmly drank his tea, and said that he also had an ace up his sleeve. He thought that since they slipped him the madness poison, they thought that activating their sorcery would break him as planned. Eugene said that even if he wins, he must not forget about their influence in the house. If he loses, Mom will do everything to make sure that no one finds out. He said with a smile that she is worrying too much. After all, it was he who suggested it too. She can come to the second training ground tomorrow. She didn't understand why he needed this, but she still agreed. The next day, at the second training ground, there were many people walking around selling various delicacies. Some of them were taking bets on the winner of the fight that was to take place today. Hoojin looked at the scene with a worried look, and said that no, she understood what he was counting on. The protagonist walked up to her and said with a smile that she would definitely have trouble hiding this news. Moreover, their dear brother seemed to be nervous, so he set up an arena where he could have fun. Gong was also in the stands, and said with a smile that there were so many people here. A member of the Wind of Justice squad, Tonkt and Tangent, came up to him and said that young Master Wonwee had certainly worked hard on this. He looked at them and asked if they had come to watch too. He said that they had come here for work. There was a huge crowd gathered to watch this battle. They were here to keep order. He smiled and asked anyway, who did he think would be the winner? Jin stood next to him and said that it was obvious. He may have trained young master, but it had only been 10 days. Tonto said that it was clear that young Master Yu Chang would win. Gong looked at them with a wide smile, and said that he was sure that everyone here thought the same. But he wasn't Theon who initiated this duel. Isn't he curious why he did this? At the same time, Yu Chang looked at the servant, who bowed to him, and asked, "Is that all?" He agreed and said that the young master spread news of the duel, and even opened the doors, so anyone can come and watch. He said with a dissatisfied expression thought. He was just teaching him a lesson. It looked like all the slackers in town had come to watch this. The protagonist looked at him from the other side of the arena, and asked his dear brother what's got him so upset. Is he worried because he lost his mother? Why doesn't he go look for her, so he doesn't have to worry so much? He can wait for him. He said with a dissatisfied expression that his mouth was as dirty as his mother's. He should shut up, since he doesn't want Tobe contaminated by his filth. He started teasing him, and said that a mama's boy should only listen to praise. This Medaic, even more angry, and he said that he should shut up. The MC repeated after him, in a mocking tone which made him very angry. He suddenly stood up from his chair and insulted him loudly. He jumped into the arena, and loudly said that he should come here. He will bury him, and make him shut up forever. The audience looked at him, and asked, did he come first? Wasn't his brother the one who initiated the battle? He calmly walked up to the arena, and said that his brother was so easily angered. Everything was going in his favor, so easily they stood in front of each other. He bowed and said that he wept. The White Pavilion came here to receive a title, but still wished him a successful fight. Yuch looked at him with a wide and evil smile and asked, "Is he trying to show respect? Did he get scared as soon as he entered Thurna?" Hujin watched them from the side and thought that it looked like he angered him with a private whisper technique, but he should have kept it to himself. The spectators who were standing nearby said that the second master was mindful of his manners, unlike his opponent. She thought that his behavior made it seem like he was the one accepting the invitation to Thediel, and not the other way around. In any case, what really matters is the outcome of the battle. He looks confident, but Yu Chang is a rising star at home and is considered a genius. He shouldn't underestimate him. They came closer to each other, and he said with an evil smile that he was sure that these insults were all he could do. The protagonist also smiled and asked, "Is he just here to talk?" These words hurt him again, and he said with an evil look that it was time for them to begin. He doesn't know what kind of dirty trick he has prepared, but he may not even count on winning. He threw something on the floor with a sharp movement of his hand, causing a fog to appear in the arena. The people looked at it in surprise and asked, "What kind of smokescreen is this?" Because of this, nothing can be seen. MC stood, still calmly, and thought that he didn't expect this. Using a hidden weapon without any cover would be meaningless. However, he doesn't recklessly attack him, and even considering him weaker, he didn't hesitate to attack from behind. He expected nothing less from the Tan clan. He used his skill to dodge the attack, and a surprised Yu Chang asked loudly, "Was that a shadow step?" He stopped very quickly behind him and asked, "Did he really forget that Gong taught him this technique?" He tried to attack him again, but Wu Wei dodged and asked with a smile, "Did he really forget about it?" He turned around with a dissatisfied look and asked loudly, "Did he learn this too?" He was still his father's son. Even if his mother was a sip, he got into a fighting stance and thought that, however, the shadow cover step was just skillful foot movements that created a shadow chi cover. He would show him the true shadowy cover. He calmly stood in place, while Yuch ran around him very quickly, and thought that this was a technique that did not allow the opponent to hear and see him. A real dissolution into the shadow. Now I understand why he is called a genius. It will be difficult to track him in the smoke. He delivered his blow, but missed, and turning around he saw the protagonist standing in place. He started to attack him many times with his hands, but he couldn't hit him, and he thought that unfortunately his mastery of the shadow-covered chi wasn't high enough to hide from his dead man's eyes. Moreover, he was oozing with bloodlust so much that he could track him down even without using his eyes. Jin looked at this and said that he didn't think that he was already that good at the shadow cover step. Tonch said that he also noticed that Lord Yuch's shadow covered chi had improved. It seemed that he achieved this through close training. However, it still seemed more like a game of tag. Could the second son simply avoid his attacks until the smoke cleared? However, even if that happened, it would all be in vain if he couldn't land a good hit. Gong laughed and said that he taught him a move for just such an occasion. They looked at him and asked, "Did he do more than the lady asked?" He looked at them and asked, "Doth he think he is that scary?" They laughed at this and said that they know he is the best in this world. Yuka kept trying to attack him, but he missed and said loudly that he was running away like a rat. He thought with a serious expression that the smoke was clearing. He should put an end to this. He was going to take pity on him and only break his legs, but it was his own fault. He created several clones and thought that even though he avoided his attacks using shadow cover step, he wouldn't be able to avoid this attack. He used the pear blossom needle shower sky nymph flower scattering technique. Qin looked at this with a worried expression and thought, "Is this pear blossom needle He wants to kill him with this attack." MC said with a big smile that this is rampant. He would have played with him a little more, but it seems like now is the time to end this battle. He created a dome of wind around himself that reflected all the needles that were thrown at him. The audience was very surprised by this and asked loudly, "What kind of wind was this?" She immediately realized that it was a storm and thought that it was the technique Hell learned yesterday. Even she couldn't see it clearly because of the ghostly and poisonous energy. Now she realized this was the kind of fighting technique he was training. It was the storm dance. Yukin was also surprised when he realized this and said loudly that it was impossible. He learned the storm dance, something that his sister and Heckle didn't learn. Wui said with a smile that, fortunately, someone provided him with an excellent teacher. He should thank him, right? He ran up to him very quickly and delivered a strong punch to his opponent's stomach, using the stormful punch technique. This attack sent him flying to the side very hard, and he hit his back against the wall. The audience was very surprised by what happened and asked, did the young master just lose in one hit? It wasn't a good blow. Jin was very surprised by what happened and asked loudly, how did he use the dance? Bong said with a calm expression that he had warned him that he had everything he needed. He was still shocked and said loudly that this was not some trifle that he could brush aside. He agreed with this and asked with a smirk, what do they think now? Is his win different from the one they once served? He asked, does he mean to say that the young master has the same talent as the clan head? He looked at the arena and said that it was too early to say so, but he learned to create a storm in 10 days. This is still a hasty conclusion, but shouldn't we keep an eye on him? It may be just words, but Hess said that he would take care of the storm squad. How could he not start to have hopes? By the way, why is he still creating wind? The protagonist called out to his sister who was standing next to him and asked if she would fight him. She was shocked by this proposal and looked at him. People looked at her and asked, this girl, is this Q, the heir of the 9 Dragon family? He returned from Qingcheng to meet the Dark Lord. So many years have passed that he did not even recognize her. Does this mean that the young master who learned the storm dance and the strongest recruit of Sichuan are going to fight? This battle will be more interesting than his battle against Yucheng. He definitely hit the jackpot today. They have a chance to see the skills of the mistress. They began to actively call her name. Tongt said that the situation seemed to be getting out of control. Jin asked, do you think he has a chance to win? Gong, looking a little worried, said that he should not face her face to face. What was he planning? He thought that he showed off storm, defeated his brother. This would already secure his position in the family. If he defeats her, he can even claim the position of heir. But if he loses, all the attention will go to her. The lady also seems to understand that this is a bad idea. Qian stood there with a worried look and wondered what he was planning. If they were alone, she would not have to worry about her reputation. However, in this situation, refusing would bring shame on their family name. Spirit started laughing behind her and asked what she was worried about. After all, he was the one who proposed it to her. Her heart demands a fight. She should trust her desires. She refused and thought that no, she should worry about his position in their family and apologizing to him for treating her like that. MC called her again and asked if something was bothering her. Was she worrying too much about a fight that did not even lead to death? She should just enjoy it. These words helped her make up her mind, and she said that she could hardly hold back. Immediately after that, she jumped into the arena and the audience loudly said that she finally got up into the arena. Hujin suddenly turned around, bowed, said her name and said that she is the heir of the 9 dragons of the Sichuan clan and a swordsman training under the Qingchang sect. She was trained by the blade master, Wu Ho, and specialized in the technique of the alone in the world and lightning slashing blade. Her peers from Jiang, who bestowed upon her the title of 1,000-petal beauty. She hopes to have a good battle. One Wei also bowed, stated his name, and said that Hu Was, the second successor of the 9 dragon family of the Tan clan. His teacher was the strongest Storm Knight Gong, and he also learned the storm dance today. He asked for her mentorship. The audience was very happy about this, and said loudly that the challenge was accepted. He said with a small smile that she seemed to like it. She agreed and said that she had not been this excited for a long time. His smile widened, and he said that he was also a little excited. She took out her sword with a big smile and said loudly that her dear brother wanted to fight her. He got into a fighting stance, began to create wind around himself, and asked, is she ready, right? Hujin agreed, ran towards him very quickly, and said loudly that they should begin. He looked at her with a little worry, and asked, one beginner is given the advantage of 3 strikes. He used the storm dance technique, the early wind blade sea land. Their attacks collided. She looked at him with a wide smile after slashing. with her sword, and said that it was Thoroughly Windblade Seal that stopped her sword that day. She quickly jumped away from him and asked, "Does that mean she can swing her sword as much as she wants, right?" She ran to attack very quickly, and said that he was the one telling her to enjoy the battle. Then what advantage is he asking for? The protagonist looked at her with a serious expression, and thought that she was fast. He used the art of shadow cover, shadow body drift. She looked at him and asked, "Does he even know Yu Shang's skills?" Her performance really exceeded everyone's expectations. She defeated his shadow copies with one sword strike, and said loudly that, however, he was still not very skilled at it. He blocked her sword strike, and was sent flying back several meters. He smiled and asked, "Was Ching Chang's swordsmanship really that strong?" Qin looked at him with a wide smile, and said that it was not it. After all, he decided to hide the energy she saw yesterday. She also has her secrets. He began to emit light energy, and said with a smile that it was excellent. Since she said so, then he should show it to her. A very strong wind appeared around him, and he used the poison dragon technique, Ghost Dragon Release. She looked at him with a happy expression, and said that this is exactly it. She ran towards Hyman, said loudly that this is the same poisonous aura and ghost energy. She began to emit her energy, and said that this is what she wants to fight. She will allow him to strike, but only once.